Hi everyone, today Carmen and I want to talk to you about contingent sales. For those of you that didn't make the meeting, this is going to be important information that you want to listen to. So here we go. First off, don't you love the new lighting?
I love it.
Pretty
Thank
neat.
you, Mel.
Pretty
Rita.
neat. Actually, let me show all of you at home what we got going on. Hey Joey!
Hey!
Thanks Mel and
Thanks,
Rita!
Mel and Rita.
In order to explain contingent sales,
We have two subject properties
we have property A that our client is selling.
and property B that our client is buying.
The first subject is possession. The client has to sell a house and then they're going to buy that house. So they're going to have to move at some point. So when you're writing your offer or counteroffer for the house that they're selling, try to get as much extra time for free from the buyer. So when you write the offer, make it COE plus 5 or even 7 days. Heck, I've seen 21 free days and I've even seen as much as 30 days.
And for the house that the seller is buying, you want to try to get as many days as possible and hope, that the property is vacant.
The next subject is rent back. So maybe COE plus 5 to 7 days is not enough time. If you need more time, you can ask the buyer in a counteroffer to rent back. So the way you would write it is seller to rent back from the buyer for no more than blank days after the close of escrow. Sometimes 2 weeks. Remember, you can't do more than 30 days. The next topic is removing contingencies. On this house, the house the client is selling, you want to remove contingencies as fast as possible. Make that buyer remove contingencies in 14 or 15 days. So that way within 2 weeks, you got it out of the way so that on that house,
On the house that the seller is purchasing, you want to keep your contingencies in play as long as possible. Do not remove them unless they twist your,
until they make, unless they make you, right?
unless they make you.
The next big subject is when do you do the home inspection and the appraisal? So let me explain. In scenario 1, the seller of house A, that client, has sold their house but they haven't found a house. So in that particular instance, does the buyer of this first house, house A, does the buyer need to do the inspection and the appraisal?
So scenario number 2, we have a client who is in escrow to purchase property B, but has not sold their property A. What is the client to do?
Do they have to do the home inspection and appraisal on house B even though they haven't sold house A? That's the question. So the answer is very simple. The contract says that you have to do the inspection and the appraisal within 17 days. And you have 21 days to remove the loan, right?
Correct.
But
Michael, have you heard of the form SPRP?
I have not. In fact, I've seen a post-it on my computer screen on the side, and I don't know why you put that there. What is that?
That form is, it lets the clients know with regards to the timelines, how many days the seller has to find a replacement property. The default time on that form is 17 days. You could put in 21 days, you could put in 25 days, and that's the best way to keep clear what the timeline is going to be.
Okay, so for example, in the first scenario where I said that you have to do the home inspection, the buyer has to do the home inspection even though that seller hasn't found a house, you're saying if we use that form, then you can make it clear that that buyer of house A doesn't have to do their inspections and appraisal until the seller has found house B.
Until we open escrow, correct.
Okay. On the flip, it would work the same way. If you use the SPRP on when they're buying house B and you say that they're not going to do their inspections of house B until they sold house A.
Correct.
Got it. Now we're clear. Deposit. So on deposit, no one wants to lose money, of course. The intention, sell house A to buy house B. So here's the deal. On the house you're selling, try to get as much money out of the buyer of house A as possible.
And on the house that the client is buying, try to minimize the deposit, make it as low as possible.
The idea would be this. Let's say you got $10,000 deposit on house A, and on house B, you got a $5,000 deposit that your client is putting down on house B. Let's say it all goes poorly and this one doesn't sell, they're not buying that, and it just explodes. If contingencies have been removed on everything and it goes to heck, then this is what would happen. If the deposit on house B was only $5,000 and you lost it, you're not gonna feel as bad, because if it was $10,000 on house A, you're still up $5,000. Again, we're not in the business of losing people's deposits and gaining money from other people, but if it happens, if you do it this way, no one will lose money.
Okay guys, our next topic is expectations. Make sure that everybody has the correct expectations and that you're communicating with clients and all the parties involved.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you want to communicate with your client, especially the client that's selling here and buying over there. They don't do this every day. They're a little fearful. They're probably staying up late at night worrying about it. So you need to minimize those negative thoughts and the worries. How can you do that? Talk to them. Talk to them every day. At worst, talk to them every other day. They're like a person in a cargo airplane with a plane full of cargo with nobody to talk to. In other words, they got their whole house in the airplane ready to take it to the next destination with no one to talk to. So you want to communicate to them that everything's going to be okay. We're funding this one today. We're closing the one tomorrow. This is what's happening. This is when papers are being signed. The more they know what's going on, the more they hear from you, the more comfortable they'll be with the whole process.
Okay guys, next topic is be a detective.
What do you mean? Like, what kind of detective? Like, you need to hire a PI to find out if the buyer has child support or anything like that, or?
Make sure that the buyer on the house that you're selling is not hiding anything.
Okay, and the reason is you want the first house to go as smoothly as possible. If it's not your buyer, you're not knowing what's happening as much as if it was your own buyer. So you want to make sure that lender has their act together. So do a little homework, maybe even ask the buyer on this house to get cross-qualified with your preferred lender.
Michael, are you directing traffic?
No, I'm just trying to say we need to coordinate our closings. Again, when you have two escrows going on, you need to make sure they're in harmony. Synchronized swimming, shall we say. So, make sure that the lender on house B is ready to order loan documents before house A orders the loan document. So make sure you coordinate your closings.
Our next topic is expectations.
You mean like to close escrow, or what do you mean?
The next thing to remember is to not be afraid to use the buyer notice to perform.
Right. Don't be afraid to be the bad guy. You need to make sure that the buyer of house A is getting their act together because you have house B on the line. One more topic is dealing with a client that sold house A but still hasn't found a replacement property. House B is just a lingering thought. What do? If you represent the buyer of house A, you're waiting for the seller to find a house. What can you do? You want to ask the listing agent as many questions as possible. See if they're actively looking. See if that seller is realistic in what they're buying. So again, ask lots of questions to make sure that that seller is going to find a replacement property.
Last thing guys, okay, when you're doing contingent sales, don't forget, if you represent the seller, use the form SPRP, and if you represent the buyer, use the form COP.
Great. So we've learned a lot today about contingent sales. It can be a complicated matter. Your blood pressure may rise and your heart rate will increase. Keep it together. Do these things and your next contingent sale will be smooth. Thanks, Carmen, for that information, and thank you everybody for watching today, because you know, contingent sales can be a complicated matter.
We hope this video makes your next contingent sale a smooth one.
Thanks for watching. Okay, now we're going to coordinate and go this way. Goodbye.